Now we're going to edit the rotation portrait light painting images. So you should have 5 images in your drive, right? So you have your Google Drive folder, light painting portraits, and rotation portraits should be one of the folders if you happen to do that image. So you're going to open up the image on the left. Okay, so we're just going to select the image on the left, which is our CR2 file. You should have 5 of them. We're going to open them. Okay. And what we're going to do is we are going to select the image that is like middle range when it comes to light. Maybe this one here. This one's a little bit brighter. This one's a little bit less brighter. This one is pretty bright in the center, so it's a little bit brighter, so it's less. I would say we want our mid-tone image. And so I would say this one is the mid-tone image. And then we're going to hit our control key, which will then go and we'll select all 5 of them. They're all selected by holding down the control key. And we're going to open up light and we're going to start by adjusting the exposure up a little bit. And that will adjust the exposure on all of the images. Okay. And it adjusts the exposure on all the images. And then we're going to adjust the effects. We're going to add texture. Maybe we can see that it makes it a little sharper. It kind of emphasizes the texture, maybe 30. We're going to add clarity, again, around 30. Dehaze, which kind of gets rid of some of the hazy effects, about 30, maybe a little less. You know, yours may vary on the actual adjustments you do. And then the detail, we're going to bring this up to about 40. On luminance and color, about 40 as well. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out which image we like. You want to choose an image that is as symmetrical as possible, where the tools didn't move, where you also have like an interesting design. There's quite a few that are really interesting here, and I'm having a hard time making a selection, but I might go with possibly this image here. So yeah, we'll go with this one. And if you want to open up, let's say you want to edit another image, let's say you want to open up a second one and edit another one, you always have that option as well, to turn in to get some extra points. Okay. So maybe you want to also turn in maybe this image here as well as this one. Okay. So you can go ahead and, open both images by holding down the control key and clicking on open. But let's say this is the first one I want to turn in. And so what I'm going to do now is go back in and I'm going to raw process this image again. And this time I'm going to raw process it to be a little bit darker, okay? And then I'm going to blend those images. I'm going to bring the exposure down just a little bit in the center so that the tools are a little bit brighter in color. And then I might go and look at calibration, and maybe I will just saturate this color just a little bit. You see how it makes it a little bit brighter. Okay, and open that up. Okay, and so then I'm going to go to edit, select all, which is Control A. I'm going to do a Control C. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to do a Control V to paste it in. And then I'm going to add a little bit of a layer mask. And what I'm going to do is I want these hands to stand out a little bit, just not the legs, but the hands. Okay, so I'm going to make these hands just a little brighter. Make them part of my design. And also a little bit of this L wire on the edge. Make those a little bit brighter. And I make my brush a little smaller so I can get in there. To make my brush smaller, I use the bracket key on my keyboard. Or of course I can adjust it here as well. But I want the L wire to be a little brighter on the outside. And I want the hands to be a little brighter. And a little bit in the center of the design, I want these to be a little bit brighter. And so we can kind of see how that's working here, okay, by turning this on and off. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these layers together and duplicate them by holding down the Shift key, selecting both layers, and then I'm going to duplicate the layers, and then I'm going to merge those layers, and I'm going to call it retouch. And I'm going to see if there's anything I want to retouch. I see a couple of bright areas that I want to retouch right here in the center. So I'm going to zoom in and bring my navigator around. And I'm going to go in. I can use my clone stamping tool and make my brush really small. Make sure I'm using a soft zero hardness brush. Make my brush really small. Hold down the Alt key, and I'm going to get rid of some of these like really bright dots in here that I don't like. I think it's the end of the L wire. Move this over a little bit. I'm going to get rid of this here. Bring this down, get rid of this dot here. I can also use another tool called a healing brush tool. All I have to do is a spot healing brush tool. All I actually have to do for that one is just click on the area that I want to retouch. So if I click right here, it'll just disappear. Okay, so I don't have to use the Alt key, but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You just have to kind of see what tool works best, either the cloning tool or the spot healing tool. Because it used content awareness to do the retouching here. Okay, so it might be better for me to use the healing brush, the actual clone tool here, I noticed. So I'm going to hold that down and bring it over. Yeah. Okay. We have an eye here. Let me zoom in and I can show you that. You can see that that's part of the person who's modeling. So we want to make sure that the eyeglasses don't get warped in any kind of weird way. Okay. Okay, and then moving this over, I'm going to get rid of this here. Just going to clone this down. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Okay, so I got rid of all those weird dots, except for right here. I need one to be removed. Okay, and then if I zoom out and if I turn the retouching off, you can see how that did a nice job of removing those little dots. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom out, Control minus, and what I'm gonna do now is add a vignette by clicking on my right down here. I'm gonna add a solid color. It's gonna be black, and then I'm gonna click in the middle of my layer mask, make sure I'm on a nice soft brush. Okay, so with 0 hardness, and I'm going to bring my brush up pretty big. I'm going to use my bracket key to increase my brush size, and I'm going to start just clicking here in the middle and moving to this outer edges. I make my brush a little smaller so that I can just reveal the hands only. I don't want to reveal the knees. And I want to get rid of this top part here. If I zoom in, you can see what I'm talking about. This weird design up here. So I'm going to make my bracket small. Use the bracket tool use the bracket key, and I'm going to make it really small. Make sure it's white over black so that I can remove this. A little bit in there. I'm going to remove that. Move it around and just kind of see. I see a little of the leg showing, so I'm going to get rid of that. Move it down. I see a little bit of the legs. Get rid of that. Move it over. See a little bit of blue here. See a little bit of the legs here showing. Okay. And I see a little more retouching I want to do right here on the handle. And a little bit here, a little bit here. Move this all around, a little bit here on the handle. You just keep looking and you might see areas that you still want to retouch a little bit here. Okay. I see a little white spot there. And okay, and now I'm going to back out and it looks pretty good. And again, you can retouch the second image, like this second image, and turn it in and get some additional points. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and save this. File, save as, and I'm going to call it rotation portrait RP underscore first initial last name. And go ahead and save it. And then I'm going to go ahead and go into my Canvas, come over here and select the folder that I need to turn it into, either period 1 or 3 or whatever class you're in, okay? And click on that folder and make sure you put it into the share drive.